Hey guys, what is up? This is Yannis, and today I have the honor, the pleasure, and the excitement to have here with me Pablo Brusseel. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He's basically a cybersecurity consultant for businesses, and most importantly, a person with great insights, great mindsets, and a person that I really consider a brother from another mother. So, Pablo, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi guys, it's a pleasure to be here.
And yeah, man, would you like to share a few things about who you are, what's your story, and how you started becoming, entrepreneur?
I think my whole life I've always been really passionate about cybersecurity and just IT in general. So I always knew that I wanted to do something with cybersecurity. Didn't really know what I was gonna do exactly. I just liked hacking, so that was a thing. Until I think I was doing my first year in university, and like from then I already started to have these small entrepreneurial um spikes, so to say. Like I kind of wanted to do something on my own, but I didn't really know what yet. And then like in my first year of uni, I was feeling bored, man. Like school is good for people that actually want to like go work for an employer, or for example doctors or whatever, like where you really need to know your stuff. But as for me, like I was feeling super bored. I'm just gonna cut the sound of my computer here. um but like as for me, school was just boring because like I was learning things that I already knew, and I was like, I can learn everything that I'm learning here in a lot quicker way if I just buy some books, buy some courses, get some mentors. And once I've done that, like I can learn all this stuff in a lot faster way, and I can just start my business, start making a shitload more money. Because like if you have the discipline for something, or if you have the work ethic, you don't really need school. Like school is good for the people that really are still looking for what they want to do. But I already knew what I was going to do. Like I wanted to do something with cybersecurity in an entrepreneurial kind of way, but I just needed to learn some stuff. But I was definitely not going to learn it in school. By the way, like something that I've noticed in the past years of being an entrepreneur is that actually the cybersecurity was not even the most important thing. Like that was something that I needed because, yeah, of course, it's my core business. But you need to know how to sell. You need to know how to market. And like, dude, nobody in school told me that. And like the first year was just fucking shit. Can I swear on this podcast, by the way? Because I'm going to be doing that a lot.
1000% feel free to do that, mate. Yeah.
Okay. So it was fucking shit because I knew that I was delivering a good service or product, but I wasn't really able to bring that to my customers. Like they didn't know shit. Like they didn't know like, oh yeah, this guy knows his cybersecurity stuff, because I wasn't able to convey that to my customers. Because like, and even cybersecurity, it's a very vague term. Like everyone knows that they have to be secure, but like then the usual question is like, why would they ever pick me? Or like just some stuff like that. But you never really think about that if you don't start selling. And that's something that I really had to learn along the way.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you said that you went deeper into why would they buy. And I think that trying to define the reason behind what we do is super, super essential. And actually, that's my second question. Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur? Why didn't you want to stay in school? Like, what was the reason that drove you into becoming an entrepreneur?
I think that the main point was that I always felt like I had more potential. And whenever because I started getting into some Gary Vee, like most of the people, right? And getting into some Grant Cardone and all these business gurus. But I always felt like I had more potential, because if you go to, for example, a job, it's nice, it's secure. Like you're going to get your paycheck at every end of the month. There's little to no risk of getting a job, but there's also a limit in what you can earn, right? If your employer says like, yo, you cannot make more than I don't know, 3K, 4K per month, like that's what you're going to get. And no matter how much you work or how less you work, you're going to get that 4K. So it's nice, it's secure, but it's not like you're going to do a lot of crazy shit with it. Like, for example, if I'm going to do my cybersecurity thing, I know that like maybe this month I'm not going to earn that much because that's the risk. But there's also a possibility that in a few years I'm going to be making a shitload more money than anyone in a regular job can ever make. But the cool thing about this is that, like, of course, it's not all for personal or egotistical reasons. Like, it's not like, yo, give me all the money. Which, I mean, money is nice, but it's also nice to be able to invest that money back into another venture. For example, I know that when I do this cybersecurity thing, I want to expand it to sizes that are beyond imagination. Like, because there's no really a fixed supplier for cybersecurity out there yet, and I want to fill that gap. I want to be that guy that is, you know, it's Pablo, the cybersecurity guy. It's Brussec Security, the cybersecurity company. Like, everything concerning cybersecurity will then be like bound into one company. And like, even after this, like if I decide to go and do some other ventures that are not cybersecurity related, I can just do that. Like, I'm planning, like, if I'm, and this is a very far plan, like let's say 20, 30 years, like if my company then is big enough to like work on its own, then I might just get into another business that sells, I don't know, stuff that I like. For example, cigars. Maybe I start a cigar brand or a whiskey brand or whatever. Just stuff that I really like and I'm really passionate about. I can just go and make something that's my own and just leave my mark on this planet, which is epic.
Nice. I'm looking forward for your brands, to be honest, because I know how much you love them. Can you expand a little bit though? So what is the reason that drives you personally to be an entrepreneur? Apart from making, like what you said, like, is there anything else, something deeper maybe?
Something deeper would probably be, but that's then very specifically to the cybersecurity thing. If I see just regular customer, like we do B2B, so it's not like we're serving anything to like regular people or consumers right now. Maybe we'll expand to that later, but as for right now, it's just businesses. But when I go and do groceries, for example, or I'm going to go and grab a coffee, or I'm going to XYZ company to buy something, sometimes I just see stuff in their IT infrastructure that I'm like, man, like, why is this so unsecure? Like, you can just hack the system so easily. And it just, as me as a customer, I just feel very unsafe buying something from that company, because what if I swipe my credit card there and then next thing I know, all my credit card information is just out there on the internet and someone is buying cars with my credit card. Like, you never know. And just because I'm I'm so scared of being hacked through another company, I just want to be that guy that actually goes around and secures these companies so that other people, and including me, can feel safe buying shit from them and not having all our credit cards stolen.
All right. That's nice. Nice. I understand. What do you like about being an entrepreneur?
Just the fact that you can do basically whatever you want, which is not entirely true, because of course you need to feel the need of your customers. It's like, people always think like, yeah, if I'm an entrepreneur, I can do whatever I want. It's true. Like, I once heard a good quote. It's not going to be perfect, and I also don't know who said it, but it's like, you cannot do what you want when you're an entrepreneur, but you get to create your own solutions to your problems. Because like, when you work at a company, that company obviously has its problems. Like, there's stuff that needs to be solved, but you need to pick the solution that your boss picks for you. Whereas if you're an entrepreneur and you have problems, for example, you cannot get customers, or your customers have problems that need to be solved, like, you can come up with an own solution, and you can get to be creative. And like, I really need that. I really need something that challenges me in a way that I could get to be creative, working out solutions for my customers. But it's not like you can do whatever you want. Like, I cannot go and just make something cybersecurity wise that no one would buy, because then after a few months, I'll just be bankrupt.
Yeah, totally get it. So I guess for you, it's more like the growth part that comes alongside with entrepreneurship. It's like you challenging yourself, you becoming better every day, you finding what you love and living on your own purpose kind of things.
Exactly, because I'm a person that personally gets bored very quickly. So whenever I start to get into the same stuff over and over again, like, I just get bored, and I get, I'm just not feeling happy. Whereas if I can challenge myself from day to day, like, that makes me happy, because then it's like, I don't know how I'm going to solve this problem, but I'm going to solve it. And then you just like look for ways to solve your problem. You try something, you fail, obviously, because that's part of the process. But then you learn just another way how not to do it. And there's a billion other ways to do it. So you just try another way and another way, and then until something just works. And then you're like super happy, because it's like, yeah, finally fix that problem, off to the next one. And just like that continuous process of finding another problem, finding another problem, finding another problem. That's really very exciting for me.
Mm-hmm. But another thing which is a big part, and I know that your company is doing great. I know you have like how many, 5, 6, 7 employees right now, which is pretty awesome, at the age you are right now. What would you say is the thing that you struggle right now with your company, with your business?
I think it's, but this is very market specific. Our market really needs a lot of education. So like, computers in general are fairly new. Like, for example, my mom, she grew up without a computer, without television. It's like, it's so weird, because I grew up with this stuff. Like, whenever I was a kid, there was a fucking TV in our living room, and you could just watch it. And then we had a computer. Like, we didn't have a computer until I was, I think, 8 years old. But then, like, once we got a computer, it was Windows 98, but it was epic. It was like, oh, you can play games on this, and you can play with Microsoft Paint, and you can make drawings. Like, amazing. So that's already a pretty new thing. But now it's starting to get more and more implemented into society. Like, everyone has their fucking smartphones. They're basically computers in a pocket. But when it comes to cybersecurity, that's an even later stage, because if you look back at, and this is why I sometimes wish I was a little bit older, so I got to live through that age. But when you got to, for example, the 90s, everything that was built computer-wise was just not secured at all. But like, at all, it was just, you could basically phone the president if you wanted to, just by dialing some random numbers. It was called, or get free telephone calls or whatever. But everything was just so shitty secure, because they really didn't bother about cybersecurity. Whereas right now, it's starting to become more and more needed, because more and more people actually know how to exploit the systems, and like, just the risks of a hack are a lot higher, just because there's a lot more devices, just because we do a lot more stuff with our smartphones. Like, for example, Apple Pay, you have your credit card linked to your phone. So if someone goes and hacks that, then that's a lot bigger risk. Whereas I don't see anyone in the 90s with their credit card on their smartphone. Like, there wasn't even a smartphone. But now the risk is a lot bigger. However, there's not many people that actually know that they need cybersecurity yet. Like, that's probably going to grow. But as for right now, we still need to educate the market a lot. And for that, we need money. Because if you look at the big companies, I'm talking about Deloitte, or talking about Accenture, they have cybersecurity services as well. But they also do tax consulting, like financial consulting, whatever consulting you have. So they're not really that specifically on cybersecurity, which means that the quality that they serve is also not that good. Like, to be honest, we as Brussec Security, we can offer a lot bigger quality than these guys, but they have a lot more money. So what they can do is they can make articles, they can make PDFs, they can make informational videos to actually tell people like, yo, you as a company, you need to make sure that your IT infrastructure is secure, and you need to test this stuff. Like, you need to have this tested by a third party so they can actually do that. Whereas we cannot do that. But still, we have other ways, or we're trying to find other ways to educate the companies. Like, hey, you actually do need security. For example, one way that we're doing right now is just plain hacking them, but within the legal context, because hacking is still illegal. But we do it within the legal context, and then we just go to the companies themselves with a report like, hey, this is what we found on the internet. This is insecure. This is insecure. This is insecure. And then they're like, they're scared as fuck. It's like, oh shit, you actually found that? Like, how? And then we just explain them, and then they get to fix that, and then they can go for like a full audit, which is very like intensive when it comes to working hours. Like, you need to put a lot of hours in one customer, but it's one of the only ways that we can do it right now. Plus, where was I going with this? So you need to put in a lot of hours, but it's worth it, because like one customer for a consulting company like ours is worth a lot more than, let's say, just a regular consumer that goes and buys a product in your web store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about you as the CEO and founder of Brussec Security? What are you struggling with because you run this business?
For me, it's usually time management, but that's probably every CEO's problem. Then the thing I'm struggling with the most, and I'm trying to still find a way to do it, is that like I'm very time efficient, if I do say so myself. Like, I can plan stuff, I can get to-do lists, I can multitask or switch task. There's not really such thing as multitasking, but switch tasking. Like, I can do all that stuff, but then there's people around me where I need to work with, being my colleagues, being partners, being just people in my life in general, where I need to be around, but they don't really have that. They don't really have which is good, because like not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Like, it's not for everyone. But then again, those people are not that time efficient, and they kind of rub that off on you, where it's like, they're telling you, for example, they're telling you a shitload of details that aren't really that needed for the conversation. Like, and you're just wasting time that way. So what I'm trying to do now, I haven't really found a good way to do it yet, but what I've been trying to do is to kind of train the people I'm around to be more time efficient with me, so they can actually waste less of my time and I can be more productive and stuff. So that's a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's a big one, because the people that we surround ourselves with, the people that are around us, if you are totally hustling and getting the results and getting things done, and then the people that are your partners or your employees are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, then there's like a dissonance between what you do and how you grow the company, and what are the people that support you throughout this journey that are doing. So yeah, I can totally get what you're saying.
Exactly. If I can just tell you a comment about that. A friend of mine here in Belgium, he started a so-called entrepreneurial mastermind, where they just bought a big mansion, like an actual mansion, but they're sharing it with this many people that it's actually pretty cheap to live there. But it kind of serves as a mastermind hub, where it's like, I think they're with 8 to 9 entrepreneurs living in this one mansion. And they're just like hustling constantly. They're just watching Gary Vee together, watching Grant Cardone together. They do group buys. For example, if they buy a course of Grant Cardone and there's like multiple people that can benefit from it, they just share the costs. And just because they're with 9 entrepreneurs in this very tight group and this very tight mastermind, like, they're excelling so freaking well, because they're all keeping each other accountable. Like, they all write their goals on a big whiteboard, and it's like, yo, dude, why haven't you done this yet? Yo, why haven't you done this yet? You told us that you were going to achieve this by this time. Why haven't you done it? So they're keeping each other accountable. Plus, if you're just surrounded with a bunch of entrepreneurs and like-minded people like that, like you just cannot be unproductive. I was actually thinking of joining at some point as well. But then again, I'm like one of the people that really needs to be alone when I'm working. This is also why I usually work at home and never at the office, because I'm just more productive this way. So it's kind of like when you're doing an entrepreneurial thing, like you're building a business or whatever, you get to know yourself a lot better as well, in a sense that like what makes me productive, what do I need in life. I wouldn't have never known that I actually am a guy that's very introverted, doesn't want to be around that many people, that needs to work on its own, when I wasn't an entrepreneur. When I was in school, none of this shit would ever have come up because it would never been an issue.
Yeah. I've also philosophized about that because I also love working alone, and I also love spending a lot of time with nobody around me. I want to have, my own space, my time, my silence, my freedom, if you will. And from thinking about it, and I think that might be, something that concerns you as well. I don't have any brothers or sisters. So when I was growing up, I learned how to have fun on my own. I learned how to, make my time to pass alone, and how to, enjoy the silence. So maybe that's something why you are like that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an only child as well. So, I was just playing with I was playing with myself, but it kind of sounds weird. I was just, how it goes. Like you're just alone and you're playing with some Lego bricks or whatever.
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, how would you define success?
I think success is not really about the amount of money that you make or like the ventures that you do, but it's more about, are you living to your fullest potential? Like personally, I think that when you're not living to your fullest potential, you're just missing out on life, and that's what makes an unsuccessful person unsuccessful. Like you never saw, for example, and I'm going to say something that's really not that politically correct here, but you never saw a homeless guy on the street and you were like, man, that's a successful man. Like right there, that's a successful man. Why? Because that man or woman or whatever, just homeless person, is not living to his fullest potential. Like, of course, and this is again something that's not that politically correct, but I think that if you're homeless, that's not your fault. Like that's not your fault. Stuff can happen. But if you stay homeless, that's definitely your fault. It's just the same as like every entrepreneurial guru says, like if you're broke, that's not your fault. Like you can be born broke. Like I didn't come from a very rich family. Like to be honest, my mom and my grandma, they are also not living to their fullest potential. Like they can do a lot more. They can make a lot more money if they just took things a little bit smarter. But yeah, if you just stay like that, if you just stay broke, then that's your fault, because you always, like wherever you come from, you can always find ways to go and up yourself on the ladder of success. Like it's a simple equation. Like the amount of time and effort you put in is directly linked to the amount of success you'll be having. So when I say success, I definitely mean living to your fullest potential. Like what are the things that you can achieve as a person in your lifetime, knowing your circumstances, and are you actually going about achieving those, and are you actually taking the necessary action needed to achieve those? Yes or no?
Yeah, I loved it. And I agree that, yeah, it's not the most political thing to say, but it's definitely true, because, many times you have to to step up and take full responsibility and take the ownership of what we do and where our life goes and what our mistakes are. Otherwise, stuff won't change. If we decide to just live in stagnation, no, fuck that. Like, you want to prosper, you want to grow, you want to feel fulfilled. Like, yeah, it is your problem. Like, it is your responsibility to change your financial situation, your relationship situation, your friends, your social circle. These are things that can be changed. But instead of whining, complaining, doubting, and all these kind of things, like, shut the fuck up and work. Like, you can do anything you want.
Yeah, exactly. It it kind of reminds me, like, this extreme ownership is really key, because you have a lot of people that are telling me like, "Yo, you're an entrepreneur, you make a lot of money, like, all good," but they're all kind of like envious, but they never really see the work that you put in. Like, they don't see that you're staying up until 2 a.m. in the morning just working on your shit, and then they're like whining that they're not that successful, but then they go out and they drink on the weekends. They're going to sleep early. They're not really doing anything with their lives. It's like, I actually, it's not really entrepreneurial related, but as you know, I came from a background where I was really fat. I was a really fat kid. I weighed about 108 kilograms, but I slimmed down a lot by putting in the work. And recently I started to go on a diet again because I was like getting a lot more weight again. But now I've lost 8 kilograms again in, I think it's a 2-month period. And it's not like I know that much about fitness and health. I just got a mentor in fitness, and he told me like, "Yo, do this and that," and I'll just execute it. And then you have people like, "Yo, how did you slim down that much?" Like, I stay fat all the time. Like, I can just not lose the weight. But then you see them drinking fucking milkshakes and eating McDonald's like 2 times a week. Where like, dude, you can eat McDonald's if you want to slim down. Like, you can obviously eat McDonald's once in a week or whatever, as long as you count your calories and you make sure that you're not overeating. Like, this was something that, like, yes, I was hungry in this period, but I knew that was good for me because I was going to slim down and was gonna feel a lot better. And like, right now that I've lost the weight, dude, I do feel a lot better. And it's just like that little pain period of feeling hungry doesn't really compare to the benefits and the joy that you'll have from feeling healthy. And I think it's the same with entrepreneurship. Like, you have this little pain period where you're starting out, you're not really getting that much customers, you're broke as fuck, you're putting in a lot of work for little to no reward. And then all of a sudden there's this turning point where you start getting customers, you start getting better. And then all of a sudden, all these successes, they just weigh up so much to this little pain period that you're like, "Oh, dude, I would definitely do it again." Like, I would definitely be broke again and not being able to go out with my friends or putting a lot more work, feeling tired all the time. Like, I would definitely put that time in again if I know that this was the outcome.
Mm-hmm. For the people that are watching this podcast, guys, this is what it's called. Drop the mic, all right? Nothing more to add. Like, loved your explanation and totally agree. People are envious about successful entrepreneurs when they don't actually know that they only see the tip of the iceberg. And below that, it's like all those late nights, all these work pain periods, like hustle, like sacrificing things, sacrificing nights out. Like, it's not only sunshines, rainbows, and unicorns. It's actual hard work and hustle and sacrifices. And you can make it happen as well, as long as you, as you said, put in the work, put in the time, and most importantly, I believe also in yourself. Which brings me to my next question. What do you want more than anything?
Ooh, that's a deep one. What do I want more than anything? I think a lot of the things come down to freedom. right? Uh, I think freedom is the most important thing that a person can ever have, and it's not only financially, but it's also when it comes down to like expressing yourself. Like I just want to do whatever I want to do at whatever time I want to do it. So I want to come to a point where, for example, if I just decide like, hey, there's this cool concert in, I don't know, California, which is not exactly Belgium, but let's say that I want to go to this concert in California, I can just book a plane ticket and fly there. Or if I just, for example, I don't know, I want to go to New York. All of a sudden, just feel like going to New York. I could just fly to New York. Um, but also the freedom to express yourself. Like if I want to say something that I really truly stand for, I can just say that. And it's not like, oh, I need to make sure that I don't stress out, or I don't what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, like, you know how on Twitter, like I'm not sure if you use Twitter, but on Twitter it's always like you have these, well, cybersecurity specialists use Twitter a lot because, well, I actually don't know why, but then in their bio it says like my opinion is not necessarily my employer's opinion. Like they always need to put that there for reasons. But that's what I really like about being an entrepreneur. If I want to say something, I just do it, and I don't need to make sure that like my employer is okay with it, because I'm my own employer.
Mm-hmm. Again, drops the mic, won't say anything. You mentioned freedom at some point, which I think it's like a huge, when it's one of the key factors actually that people, want to become entrepreneurs and what people are after actually. And what do you think is like the things that stopping you from being as free as you possibly could? Is it just a matter of time? What do you think it is?
I think it's definitely a matter of time, for one, but then two, it's also you need to find the balance, right? Because yeah, and balance is key in everything. But I could, for example, I could be, and I'm gonna go very deep on this, but uh, I could be saying like, hey, in 5 years, my company will be at a point where I'll have the freedom to do whatever I want, and that will be nice and good. So I can now put in the work, right? The hustle, the late hours, everything we talked about. I can put that in now, and then in 5 years, I'll be good. However, let's say, and I'm very dark thought here, but let's say after this podcast, I walk outside my door, I cross the street and get hit by a fucking truck. Like a big ass truck comes, boom, I'm dead. Like then I would have put in all this work without any reward. So what was it actually good for then? So that's where I think balance comes in. And like if I need to wait 5 more years, let's say instead of working for 5 years and getting the life, I need to work 10 years to get
Nice.
the life that I want. I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I can wait another 5 years, but then I can have the balance to go and work a lot, but also have the balance to chillax and enjoy the freedom that I have right now. And it's not in a way where I'm gonna overdo it. It's like you don't need to go full on freedom and full on relaxing, because then you're not gonna get any work done. But it's the balance between the two. Like the way I'm doing it right now is um, like a week, 7 days for everyone. So 6 of the 7 days I work super hard, no breaks, just full on hustle. And then on Sunday I just chillax. I smoke some shisha or whatever. Just do whatever I want. And then on Monday I'm just revitalized again, go work again. And then yeah, maybe I could do better. Maybe I could work that Sunday as well. But then okay, so first of all, like you're gonna be there quicker probably. If you kind of do the math, you will obviously be there quicker. But then again, like let's say, because humans, we have our limits as well in what we can do before we actually burn out. Like burnouts, they're happening more and more often these days. If you read the news, it's always like burnouts here and there. I think that sometimes it's just people being little bitches, because like if you go and look at what a usual employee puts in work hours and what they actually need to do, whereas what an entrepreneur needs to do, like, dude, these employees can be happy, man. Like they have never put in the time that an entrepreneur puts in his business. But then again, it's different, because when you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't really feel like work, because it's something that you're building on. It's something that you're doing for yourself, and it's like, it's epic. So I kind of get it there. It's apples and pears here. But again, where was I going with this? Because I tend to go on tangents like every time. Yeah, burnouts. So, but you need to make sure that, like, because even as an entrepreneur, even if you're working on the things that you actually love, you can burn out if you put in too much hustle. So get some rest from time to time. Smoke some shisha, smoke a cigar, drink a glass of whiskey, or whatever you like. Like I'm just saying everything I like here, but it could be different for you. But put in some chillaxing time as well. And like if it takes a year or 5 years, even longer, to achieve what you want to achieve, so be it, man. So be it. Better than burning out.
Yeah. A couple of points here I want to mention, because actually I think it was yesterday or a couple of days ago, I watched a video from Grant Cardone, and he was talking about how long, $1 million would last for. And, many people say, oh, I want to become a millionaire. Oh, I want to make money. Da, 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 da. And yes, 100%, making money when you run a business is the most important thing in order to keep the business alive. But he said that if you make $1 million and you stop working, this money are going to last you for 12 years, and then you will have nothing. So that's the first thing that basically show us the fact that it is important, right, to always, producing things and growing your business, and not only thinking of the easy way out that, oh, I'm going to hustle for 5 years and then I'm going to only be drinking cocktails on a nice beach in Hawaii and having fun. That's not the reality. You need to always, put in the work. But the second thing you said, and I loved it so much, and I discussed that with other entrepreneurs as well, was, taking one day off. And for me also is Sunday, because, I have my business and I also do the coaching, and I also do a PhD. And this, I felt so many times so overwhelmed and stressed from all the things I have to do, from all the to-dos that are there. And, and number one, I need some time for myself. I need some time for the people that are around me. I need some time to think, reflect. So for me, it's a rule now. Like, I don't do anything regarding business on Sundays. I just chill, Netflix, pizza, shisha. Yeah, I love shisha as well. You know that already, basically.
Yeah.
And just chill, man. Like, spend time with yourself. And especially in the world we are in, like the hustle, you need to have one day to just chillax and do nothing.
Just one thing I also like to add is the importance of turning off your phone. Because like when I started out with this chillaxing days, my phone was still on. And dude, you don't know what the difference is between having a chillaxing day where your phone is off or just somewhere in the fucking closet or whatever, and you're not looking at it. It's because like, even though that nobody's really texting you or whatever, just a simple notification from Facebook or Instagram draws your attention to that phone, and then you feel the need to go and look at it. Even though it's not important, you feel the need, like, oh, I need to look at this notification right now. I need to know what's behind it. I need to know. So you just open your phone, you start browsing Facebook, whatever. But just having your phone put away somewhere or turned off gives you so much ease of mind. It's crazy. And I actually randomly stumbled upon this because I was going to a spa on Sunday to chillax, and there were no phones allowed there. So I just left my phone in the locker at the spa, and I was so relaxed. And it was not only because of the spa, but it was also because I didn't have to look at my phone for a day, and that was so amazing. Now, of course, like we, as a cybersecurity company, we try to be We try to be there 24/7 for our customers, because like what happens if you get hacked? Like you cannot tell your customers like, hey, just wait and another day until all your credit cards are gone. No, you need to step in there immediately. But that's where you got your trusty employees for. Like they take care of it on Sunday, and you can take care of it the rest of the days. But yeah,
Nice.
it's so important, man. It's so important.
That's a really nice addition, actually. Yeah, no phone. I like it, man. That's a good one. Yeah, I'll try to implement it. No, I will implement it tomorrow, actually, because tomorrow is Sunday. So, yeah, all right. Now, dude, we get a lot deep into that. I loved it. Um, Another question is, who is your role model? She or she can be still alive, or many centuries old, or dead, or maybe mythical character. It's completely up to you, but who are you looking up to?
I got a couple of people actually. One is being Dan Bilzerian. Not that he's the best entrepreneur out there, or the one to look up to the most when it comes to like life advice and and stuff, but just the lifestyle that he lives, and just the less fucks he gives. Like that guy just does whatever and doesn't give a fuck. And that's something that I really stand for as well, where it's like you live your life and you do whatever you want. And like that guy is the living embodiment of that. Like if he wants to go to Cuba on a yacht with a bunch of chicks around him, like he just does it. Like if he wants to buy an alligator, he just does it. Like there's no hair on his head that thinks like, oh, what are the people are gonna think of this? Like, no, he just does his shit. So that's from him. Then secondly is Grant Cardone, because I think that Grant Cardone, well, I think he's like, because all these role models, they're kind of extremes, so you have to take everything with a grain of salt, I think. But for example, what I like about Grant a lot is that he thinks of money differently than most people do. Like he thinks of money as it being a way to acquire more money. And he also doesn't think that a million, because like we talked about millionaires before, that a million is that special. Because if you think of it, and I did the math, like you can do the math as well. Like just think how much your product costs, divide a million by that price, and that's the amount of products you of course need to sell to get a million. And then think about like how many products do you need to sell per day to achieve that. So just divide that by 365. Like, and you're gonna be surprised about the numbers, but it's not that much. Like if you think about how many people are there on the fucking planet, like how many people you can actually sell your product to, like it's so easy to become a millionaire. And I'm not saying that because like I am a millionaire, because I'm obviously not, but I say that because I believe that it's actually pretty easy. Like I'm 100% sure that in a couple of years I will be at that point as well, if I just keep on putting in the hustle. And now also when it comes to Grant, what I really like is that he views things differently, in a way that like most people think of money as like, oh, I need to save a lot of money in order to be able to pay my bills and all that stuff. But like if you think about the maximum that you can save, that's equal to the amount of money that you currently earn. So let's say that I make 15K per month. The amount of money that I can maximum save is 15K, which is of course an extreme, because you will never save 100% of your money. But then he says like, what if you could just make more money? What are the limits then? Well, there's basically no limit there. Like you can just make more money and keep on making more money, and there's really no limit. Like the sky is the limit here. And that's a really cool thing of him. And then the third guy that I really look up to, and like we both know him, is RSD Max. He is, and for him, it's not really the money or whatever he does, but it's more because he's a self-made man and he really started like, and the difference between him and other self-made people is that I've actually saw it happen. Like I still remember a couple years ago when he was still, well, not that rich, like still kind of broke as fuck, putting in a lot of hustle. Basically had didn't even have fucking money to buy his to pay his assistant. That's how broke he was. And then if you look at him now, he's just building business after business, balling in Kiev. But like he put in the hustle. He just did whatever had to be done to get to a point where he had the money, and that's really really inspiring. Just because it's someone that's really close to us both, and it's also like we saw it firsthand. Like we just saw it happen, which means that like it is possible. Like because I don't know Grant Cardone personally, I don't know Dan Bilzerian personally, so they could do whatever the fuck they want. Like, yes, true, but with Max, you just saw it happen, and then you actually know like it's possible, and if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, yeah. It's the story of Roger Bannister, but nobody believed that someone can run for, I don't know, it was like 4 miles in less than 2 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Or less than 4 minutes for a couple of miles. I don't remember now the numbers. And the moment he did it, then everyone else did it because now they knew that it was possible. So yeah, I agree. And all of them are great people. And yeah, Max is amazing. Grant, well, Dan Bilzerian is okay. He's crazy. And Grant, he has some crazy mindsets about money. And one last thing before I ask you the next question, that I remember from something like another video of Grant Cardone's. There was like this guy who asked him, Grant, I have so much money, saved, and I'm ready to invest and all these kind of things. And Grant says, okay, how much money you have? And he was like, yeah, I have 40K in the bank. And Grant looked at him and he says, dude, you're fucking poor. I will spend $500,000 today to fly on my own private jet from here back to Miami in order to spend the night with my children. And you are telling me that you only have 40K. No, pump up your game, make more money, improve, grow. So yeah, it's crazy. Like trying seeing what are like other people's mindset and trying to implement those things back to you. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Cool. Daily habits that you have?
Daily habits. So I wake up. First thing I do is make my bed. This is actually something that I learned from you. But it helps so much, man, because sometimes you just wake up, or like that's what I used to do. Like I wake up and I go and do something, like I get ready or I eat food or whatever. But then I'm just walking around my house like a zombie, where it's like, need food, need shower. But once you start making your bed, it's like the first task that you actually have to do. And it's like, I don't know what the magic is behind it. Like you probably know better than I do, but it makes you a shitload more productive. So that's something that I do. I always, well, it's not a daily habit, but it's a weekly habit. On Sunday, like the only work I do, because like Sunday is also my chill day, but the only work I do is in the evening. I plan out all my appointments for the next week, because then in the next week, I don't have to worry about any planning anymore. And like sometimes stuff can move, but most of the stuff is planned. Then I know like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is gym time. I'm going to go from the gym from that hour to that hour. I'm going to work from that hour to that hour. I have a meeting then, and then. So I don't have to worry about time anymore. And then something I do daily as well is meet with my team and check out what tasks need to be done and when they need to be done. So like who needs to do what, when do you need to do it, what are priorities, stuff like that. So that's something that I do in the morning. Uh, well, I would love to make it more of a daily habit, but meditation is something that I try to do daily, but usually don't get to it. But it also ties into the stuff of not burning out. Like sometimes it's especially as an entrepreneur, like I'm thinking 24/7 about my business. And it's like, oh shit, I still need to do that. Oh, and that client and that client. And like you're constantly thinking about this, even unconsciously. So it's really good to meditate from time to time and just like clear your mind for just 10 minutes. Um, the only thing is that I'm not really consistent with that. So I should probably start doing that more. What other habits? Uh, oh yeah, I drink a glass of lemon water every morning uh, for the same reason that it really energizes me. There's probably some health benefits there as well, but it's morely like the spike of the sourness of the lemon. It really just spikes me up, and then I'm immediately awake and ready to hustle. Um, yeah, that's probably it for the daily habits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like all of them are amazing, and yeah, like nothing more to say here. Like, yeah, it's if we start discussing about its habit and why those habits are important, we're gonna, talk about I don't know how many hours. So
I also think that it really depends on person to person, because like you have people, and for example, Max is a very good example of this. Like he takes cold showers because he thinks that that really works for him. As for me, like I tried it, but to say that it really helps me, don't really think so. So I'm personally not doing them. But yeah, I think it really depends on for person to person. There's like a lot of habits or daily habits that generally are known to be good or are known to work in certain ways or forms, but it's not like it's gonna work for you per se. Um, so you kind of have to like this is again a process of entrepreneurs and a process of discovering yourself, I guess, where it's like what habits work for me and what makes me more productive, what makes me more uh like more awake, what makes me more energized, all that stuff.
yeah, and this also clearly depends on the timeline you are in your life and your entrepreneurial journey. Because to be honest, I have different routines, different morning routines, depending on the situation of my life that I'm right, now. So for example, right now I'm in like a business brainstorming session. So I'm making sure that I have more habits regarding the way I think and my mind and my brainstorming and my creativity, like journal, for example. Whereas when I just really, want to focus on other things and have more fun, going out more, as focus on gym and have maybe like an important gym session I need to go and all these kind of things, I will focus more on my body. So it's also important to optimize your morning routine based on what exactly is the thing that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say that, as I have my ways. I can find a machine and, take you back to when you were 10 years old. I don't know, like to your younger self anyway.
All right. Yeah.
What would the advice that you would give to yourself be?
Uh all right. Like if I go back to when I was 10 years old, I remember that it wasn't the best period of my life. Because I had a really shitty childhood. I would definitely do it again. Like if I had the chance, I would definitely do it again, because I definitely think that this whole thing of having a fucked up childhood made me stronger in the end. Um, However, if I would be able to go back in time to my younger self, I would give young Pablo the advice of, yo, my little dude, just don't let other people's opinions get in the way of your own. Uh, because I came from a background where I was really like a people pleaser.
Mm.
I still have some some parts of that left in me, and I really need to be self-aware of that, of like, yo, I need to put my own values first, and then I can start thinking about other people. But definitely back in the day, I was trying to please so many people, and what was a consequence of that is that people actually didn't really like me, and I was bullied a lot just because I was trying to fit in so hard that it was really off-putting for everyone else. And I didn't really know it back then, because I thought like, hey, if I just be very nice to everyone, everyone's going to like me. But that's not the case. That's definitely not the case, bro. So I would definitely tell that to my younger self, and like, dude, you just start doing whatever you want, start going for what you want, define what you want, and go and do the thing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautifully said. What about the advice that you would like to give to the people watching? This will be my last question. People that are watching this podcast, some of them are, early in the business, and some of them are, more advanced. But in general, what would your advice to the people that are watching this podcast be? What would you like to share? What would you like to spread as a message? How would you like to impact them? What's your advice to them?
I think if I could give one advice that's good for new people that are starting their entrepreneurial journey, or people that have been in the entrepreneurial journey for a long time, would be to stay true to yourself and really stay true to what your values are, what you want, and where you want to go with your business. And like, of course, you take advice from other people in the I was going to say cybersecurity realm, but just in the entrepreneurial realm, like, just take advice from people, but still think about it and implement it into your own situation. Because like, what's important for someone else is not important for you, but you need to know what's important for you, and you need to know what it is you want to achieve in life, or in your business, and you want to work towards that. So stay true to your own wants and needs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Pablo, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your golden advice. Thank you so much for the content. I enjoyed it so much. And I'm pretty sure that people will enjoy it as well. So if anyone wants to ask you something, or if anyone wants to learn more about, your business as well, where people can find you, what's the best way to contact you, and, yeah.
All right. So I just want to say that I really liked talking on this podcast. It was my pleasure. I always like to talk about just entrepreneurial stuff and habits and all that's all the good shit. If people want to find me, if you are interested in my business, that's www.brussec.com. That's BRUSSEC.com. We have a bunch of other domains, but this is the shortest one. And if you're interested in me personally, you can find me on www.pablobrusseel.com, or my Facebook page, which is just Pablo Brusseel, I guess. Yeah, and feel free to chat. Send me some messages. Spam me.
Definitely spam Pablo. He's a great guy. I'll tell you from like an honest view. Like, thanks so much, bro. Again, guys, thank you for watching this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you for the next episode with another cool guest. Till then, hustle, prosper, have fun. Make sure to implement those habits. Make sure to be loyal to yourself and to your goals, and make sure to crush it.